Want to understand why, after so many Spanish courses, you still can't seem to be able to understand native speakers in real context? There's a villain behind every story, and if you want to uncover the culprit, the one who is hindering your way to fluency, stay tuned.
103. 103 out. Yeah, that guy have a white baseball cap on.
Hello, welcome back to another video made by me, La Mexicanita. And in this video, we will uncover one of the villains that hinders your way to fluency. Now, we talked about this in a previous video. I suggest you go ahead, check that out on the link below or somewhere over here, because there I explained a little bit of theory plus some examples that might help you understand why it's so hard for you to talk to native speakers. Now, that's part of the problem. Here we have part number 2, our villain. So it's not a ghost, it's not a witch, it's not a monster, it's not even an ogre. It's actually something quite different. And today we will talk about this villain. Now, this is no secret. It's actually quite visible in the language, and you're quite familiarized with it because there are several in any given language. In this case, our problem is, yep, here it is, the vowels. Now, what does the vowels have to do with anything in the first place? Well, besides being all over the language, it's one of the reasons why it's so hard to keep track of what native speakers are saying. Now, let me give you an example. Let's start with a basic question that everybody learns in their first Spanish class, and that is, ¿Cómo estás? You're probably familiarized with it, so it doesn't seem so hard. However, when we first analyze this phrase, we can go over the structure and, the parts that make up this question. But something that many people do not understand or realize at first is how we actually use this question and how we pronounce it. So, first of all, it's how are you? That's great. But do we actually say ¿Cómo estás? Of course not. Just like in English, we don't say, how are you? That doesn't sound natural. It sounds robotic. So in Spanish, ¿cómo estás? We actually say it, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? So it's a big cluster, a chunk that goes like one piece, and we pronounce it together as a phrase. Now, we could do this in many ways, but the topic that we'll cover today is vowels and how these can seem a little bit confusing. In this case, look at the ending of como. It ends in an O. Estás, it starts with an o, e. So instead of separating this, we are going to say ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? And the reason behind it is actually quite simple. So vowels are pronounced in a way that our mouth does not shut, right? It's like movement, a movement of air. O, a, e, I, o, u. So our voice is producing the sound and our mouth is not closing, it's not stopping the sound. So what's the point of actually making a pause between como and then estás? Doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So instead of that, we're going to combine these sounds and say o, e, o, e. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? That's how we would actually say it in Spanish. Let's go over another example. ¿Qué estás haciendo? What are you doing? Even in English, you guys don't say, what are you doing? Like, that's a little bit hard to pronounce. So again, let's economize our speech, and you say, what are you doing? So you're combining the sounds. In this case, we're focusing on the vowels. So in Spanish, we end our word que with e, and then estás starts also with an e, e. So let's combine this. ¿Qué estás? ¿Qué estás haciendo? ¿Qué estás haciendo? Remember, we're doing something else with the rest of the structure, but let's only focus on the vowels. ¿Qué estás haciendo. Now let's add a word in between. So instead of what are you doing, let's say what have you been doing? ¿Qué has estado haciendo? Now let's focus on the first part of the question. Here we have a vowel e and then h and an a. The H, well, it's pretty much silent in Spanish, so let's forget about that for now. And let's focus only on the EA. Again, we're going to combine it. So, ¿qué has? ¿Qué has? It sounds like one big word. ¿Qué has? ¿Qué has? ¿Qué has? Now let's go to the second part. Now, estado haciendo. Same thing. It ends in no, H. Let's forget about that. And then a. Estado haciendo. O a. ¿Qué has estado haciendo? Estado haciendo. So if I say it, then it's actually ¿qué has estado haciendo? ¿Qué has estado haciendo? We're combining the sounds. Now, is this the only thing that happens with vowels? Unfortunately, not. Because our villain sometimes likes to put a mask on and changes into a different character. So it might sound a little bit different. Let's look at our next example. ¿Qué onda? So this is the informal expression for how are you, kind of like what's up. ¿Qué onda? In informal speech, we would actually say this, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué onda? Now, what's happening here? Because that doesn't sound like an ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? And that's because we relax our muscles. ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? So it sounds more like an I than an ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? Now, this can be a little bit frustrating, right? So, what can we do in this case? I say we befriend our enemies, and here is a beautiful heart that represents what we are about to do with vowels. Well, besides trying to listen to Spanish nonstop, one of the things I suggest is that you read and listen to natural Spanish simultaneously. Choose a song or probably a book or a movie. Stick to something short because 2 hour film is too much for your brain to process. So I really suggest that you go ahead and find something that is used in an authentic way. Take the text, the song, the video clip, and look for these vowels. Look for this chain of thought. If you want another video where I truly explain in detail how you can do this and some ways that will make this a lot easier in Spanish, go ahead and leave a comment, like, and share. Till next time.